Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight at this Public Board of Education meeting. We called our meeting to order earlier at our closed executive session, so we're ready to begin. We're now in full swing of the school year, so I hope everybody's having a smooth transition back to school and the fall weather. Dr. Arrow, do you have any comments before we get going on the agenda?
Good evening, everyone. Just want to welcome everyone back to the official start of the school year. I want to thank our families for all the support we're getting with the bridge closure and with assisting with putting students on the bus. Want to also just acknowledge that there's always some switches and transitions that have to happen with routes at the beginning of the year as we make slight adjustments to stops, and sometimes we have to make slight adjustments to routes and buses. So should families have any challenges with buses, it's really important that they report those to our transportation department. It's great to post things on social media, but we don't monitor that. So you may think you've reported something, but it's really critical that you notify our transportation department so we can assist. Also want to just note that we're right in the season of back-to-school nights. We've had several with a couple others scheduled to go, and want to just say that we're really proud of our athletic programs and as they've kicked off the school year and having great success out there. So congratulations to all of our athletes. All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Dr. Adderhold. And now it's time for our first opportunity for public comments. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who are present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. This public comment period shall be limited to 60 minutes. Do we have any? We have our first public comment speaker. Hello, welcome.
Hi, welcome back, everyone. Neil Lewis, Plainsboro Township Public Safety Liaison. And since the comment was made about the traffic light, I think that it's worth it. I just put a word in that once we did realize that Mercer County was closing that bridge for as long as it was going to be closed, we were working closely with the counties to get something into that intersection, which is a complicated and a somewhat dangerous intersection. And we thought with all of the young people who might be driving, as well as parents who are frequently rushing in the morning, we needed to put some kind of a safety factor in there. And we were happy that we were getting cooperation from Middlesex and from Mercer both in putting a light in. They currently are being contacted about adjusting the timing. And I think that those of us who've gone that way all recognize that the non-equal time and probably the lack of sensors at the light makes it a little complicated at times, but the main factor is still the safety of our students and also of our residents and the West Windsor residents in getting to the school complex. But they are looking at that to try to get that changed. And since we are on county roads that we're dealing with county government that has to make those final decisions, but we have started that. The chief is working closely, and we're hoping that that'll be working a little bit better. So. And while I have a couple of seconds, I just want to say congratulations once again on having the schools rated as highly as they are in the recognitions that came out a few weeks ago. And I think that when I moved here in 1983 with a new baby and 3,000 children in the schools and the rumor that we had a good school district that we could go to, I'm delighted to see how good a job the board has done all these years in maintaining the schools. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other public comments for this? Go right ahead. Just remember name and address.
How we doing? My name is Zach Wheel. I live at 144 Fisher Place. I do not have a horse in the race. I have 2 dogs, a cat, and a fiance, and that's more than enough. I don't need to be here. I don't want to be here, right? But I don't know if the camera can pan around. Like, there's nobody here. This is kind of crazy for the first meeting for the start of the school year. So I'll make this quick. I own a business directly adjacent to W Squared, which, if anybody's familiar, it's a 976 unit development, Avalon Bay, right near the Princeton Junction train station. I think at the moment, less than a quarter of the units are finished or occupied. And when the process to start the construction, when I was at the planning board meetings, one of the questions I had was, how many students are going to be added to the district, right? So maybe somebody has a better estimate now that most of the stuff is complete. You have another 500 units there. You have 2 newly constructed or under construction developments right adjacent to Trader Joe's. That's not including Princeton Country Club and however many hundreds of units are there. And I guess my question is, if every school is either under construction or recently completed, where do you intend on putting these kids, right? And it's really concerning or disconcerting that I'm here. Like I said, I don't have a freaking kid in the district, and there's no parents here. Why? No offense to the folks who are here, right? This is absolutely asinine. I apologize if my frustration is misplaced and it should be directed towards somebody else by all means, but I've been trying to get answers. I've tried to post this, and this is where I'll cut myself off. I've tried to post this to WWP Peeps multiple times, multiple different posts. For whatever reason, all of my posts are in perpetual limbo. They're all pending. The posts that are on WWP Peeps, advertising, Labubu babysitting and just asinine things, everything other than what should be a discussion about the township. So, yeah, I had a ton of notes. I was expecting I had to come here early to fight parents to get in line. This is crazy. So, yeah, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have anybody else from our small audience for our first public comment? All right, seeing none. Dr. Adderhold, let me ask, do you have any comments at this point?
Sure, I'll come back in with respect to the public comments. So with respect to the public safety and Mr. Lewis's comment, want to thank the township and our Plainsboro and West Windsor Police Departments for all the work that they're doing in support of us. Several officers have been out at the light to make sure that it's working. They were out there prior to the lights installation. But I think it's important for the township to know, just to add on to Mr. Lewis's comment, that the officers themselves cannot adjust the light. It's a county engineer has to not only observe it, but they're the ones that have to make the change. So just in fairness to, and to the gentleman that's about to walk out, sir, I was going to address your comment if you'd like to. No problem. No, I'll give a quick update for you. But with respect to, it's just the county engineer has to make those changes. So we might see officers out at the light, they're not able to actually make the physical change. They can note it, they can give feedback, but the engineers have to actually observe it. To Mr. Wheel, the gentleman that made the comments regarding the residential growth in the community, this is something that the district's been monitoring for quite some time. We made first presentations here. My first presentation, I believe, was 2016 with respect to the residential growth in the community. We brought forward a referendum to expand 5 of the schools in 2018 and successfully were able to pass that with the idea that there was a certain number of units that were going to be built, phased in, starting around 2020. COVID hit, some of the delays in the residential construction occurred. Fortunately, our school construction was able to proceed. That construction is predated, the referendum is predated by 3 expansions. The room we're sitting in, but also 8 classrooms here, classrooms at the expansion at Hawk, the expansion at Town Center, were also in addition to the referendum. So we've actually expanded in the last 10 years, 8 years 8 of the 10 facilities, with the idea that there would be residential growth coming due to the developments that the gentleman was referencing over by the Low Center, over by Transit Village, and sporadically throughout the community. It's also important to know that this is the year of round 2 or 3 of affordable housing. So there's yet another round of affordable housing that will come through this school year. Municipalities are engaged in conversations of submissions and challenging submissions based on calculations. So we should anticipate additional developments that were not included back in the referendum time period to be coming online. There are 2 developments in Plainsboro that we're watching as they're going through a process. One's over by Plainsboro Nursery, the other's over by the hospital. Plainsboro Nursery was rumored about at the time of the referendum, but it was not coming to fruition. It wasn't in front of a planning board. It was just an idea back then. That is now coming forward with X amount. I want to say close to 500, but I don't want to misspeak, units. Then over by the hospital, there's another whole wave of units that will be in another project coming in. That was not included. So some of our largest concerns from a community standpoint is we have a whole segment of the community where we have no school. And it's over on the west side of Route 1 near Market Fair. And those students in that section would have to be bused towards Town Center Wyckoff. On the West Windsor side, the developments that have been or are being built, we have projections to go to a lot of them, Maurice Hawk Village, Grover South. However, there are one in particular over by the mosque that is slated to go Dutch Neck Village, Grover South. All that being said, when developers come forward, developers are not required, but they can do a fiscal analysis, they can do a projection of potential number of students, but the townships themselves cannot make a determination to approve or reject a project based on school age student impact. So these developments are, there's lots of other pieces that they might have to be in compliance with, but school age impact's not one of them. So again, we are going to yield some number of students. The problem is we don't necessarily know what ages and what grades, and that's very difficult to project. There are, what we can go on is demographic history, and demographers, especially out of Rutgers, have projections of what we could anticipate. So back when we did the demographic studies, back when we did the capacity studies, we projected yields of what we anticipated. Until we get move-ins, we can't necessarily compare move-ins versus projections. We do have some historical data about what we could anticipate by type of housing unit, and that's been published in our demographic study, as well as all the reports that are still online with respect to the presentations we did around the referendum.
What precedent do you have for 1,000-unit developments?
So it's a public comment period, not a Q&A, but there is a second public comment period at the end.
The only other thing that I want
Yeah.
to point out is Edison spent $9 million fighting a 250-unit development.
Please stay for the public comment, the second one. Thank you.
Obviously, they figured out it wasn't worth the money. Thank you for your time.
Did you want to finish?
I'll finish. So with respect to fighting residential growth, that's not something the school board would do. We encourage students to come. But the townships themselves may choose to fight developers. Since the public may have heard on the video about Edison, I don't have any insight into that other than to know that Edison has expanded several thousand students in the last 5 school years, and has had major capacity challenges due to residential growth within their community. But Edison School District is responsible for every single student that comes to their door, whether planned or unplanned. So whether it's kindergartners that come, or whether it's third graders or high schoolers, we welcome all students that move into our community. And we have some wonderings, and I'll say wonderings as a school community, as administrators, as we're looking at the new, as the age of kids we're seeing in registration. the question is this a starter home community? And when we just look at the simple price points in our community, most of the age of students we're seeing are not necessarily coming in. We're seeing families move in with children, not necessarily moving in, waiting 5 years, and then having families. So families may come in with young children and have more, but one of the ways I raise this, because demographers project things based on birth data. And one of the ways demographers do that is they geocode birth data to residential address. So they can look at, a child born at Plainsboro Hospital, and they can look at the home address, and they can then project 5 years later that student that will have a kindergartner. Well, that may or may not be true. That family could move, but it's a way they could predict what kindergarten enrollment, and then based on kindergarten enrollment, they can project up. Well, we've had some factors in WWP that don't play well into that. One, until 3 years ago, we had half-day K. So K was not always the first landing spot in the community. First grade was a better predictor for long-term residential growth. And then the second factor is just the reality is that homes in our community are very expensive, and it's a very difficult price point to enter as a starter home. So we are seeing families move in with older children right now, and especially around transition grades, middle school, 5th to 6th, 8th to 9th. That makes sense when you start thinking about where you want your children to transition in school age, but that doesn't always work clean with families that have multiple children. So it's something that we're very much watching. It's something that we very much work on. There's some developments that are opening in real time and are phasing in real time. And over this school year and next school year, we should anticipate starting to see our numbers rise with the number of enrollments that are coming in. And so, as an example, we did open up a class, and it happened to be kindergarten at Dutch Neck, within 1 week of the opening of school, because we had such a surge in kindergarten enrollment that we made the decision right then and there. It was better to open and reallocate the schedules than it was to see class sizes for K crest 25. And 25, K is the one grade that in code there's a cap on, with the exception of special education and preschool. But within K-12, K has a cap at 25. So we made the decision we didn't want to risk that, and we opened a section and dropped the numbers down back to 18, knowing that we would continue to get enrollment.
All right, thank you for that further explanation.
Madam President, there's only one other thing that I just wanted to address. I know the gentleman left, but the board does not control, does not have any authority over the WW Peeps community Facebook. So if the gentleman does watch back, we don't have any control over that. We are not the administrator. We don't have any say in terms of what is posted and what is not. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Despite my reach in the community.
Yes.
Thank you for the addition. So now we can move on to the Board of Education Committee reports, and I'll ask Dana for our meeting minutes from Administration and Facilities.
Okay, good evening. The ANF committee met on September 10th. The committee reviewed several policies and regulations, and we recommend them for a second reading and approval at tonight's meeting. They are Policy 0174, Legal Services, Policy 0177, Professional Services, Policy and Regulation 1570, Internal Controls, Policy 1620, Administrative Employment Contracts, Policy 2422, Statutory Curricular Requirements, and Policy and Regulation 611, Special Education Medicaid Initiative, or SEMI program. And lastly, the Policy 6220, which is budget preparation. There were no policies or regulations for first readings this time. Next, the committee reviewed the fall updates for athletics. Events such as the North-South soccer game this coming Saturday, the 20th, and the Serve Up Hope North-South volleyball games on October 3rd were highlighted. The committee also discussed uniform purchasing cycles and the process used when booster and student activities funds are spent. The committee reviewed updated crisis manuals for all district buildings to ensure consistency, accuracy, and comprehensive preparedness, with an emphasis on strengthening school safety protocols and safeguarding the well-being of students and staff. The committee reviewed the memorandum of agreement, or the MOA, with the West Windsor and Plainsboro Police Departments to ensure cooperation with local law enforcement. The committee will next meet on October 13th.
Thanks, Dana. And does anyone have questions or comments for Administration and Facilities? Oh, go ahead, Liz.
I just wanted to just a quick note about the MOA with the law enforcement. That's an existing agreement. It's not something new. It's something that's on an annual basis, right? Just to clarify.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, yes, it's a form that was originally developed by the Attorney General's office, and it's the uniform memorandum of agreement that each school district has to adopt annually.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so I'll ask Loy for a curriculum committee meeting minutes.
Thank you, Graylin. The Curriculum Committee met on September 19th. We began with Dr. Gould, who provided the committee with an overview of the multilingual learner programming changes for K-12 and data regarding student progress. Next on the agenda for voting for this evening from curriculum, first off, the committee recommends submission of the WWP Regional School District of Education's District Professional Development Plan and District Mentoring Plan Statement of Assurance for the 25-26 school year to the New Jersey Department of Ed pursuant to NJAC 6A:9C-4.2. Next, the Curriculum Committee recommends disposal of worn and or damaged material, instruction materials, in this case books, from several media centers, which are listed on tonight's agenda. Next, the committee recommends approval for the new and or revised curricula, additional new and revised curriculum, excuse me. And then finally, field trips. We begin with High School South. Recommending approval for a Model Congress to Washington, D.C. from November 20th through 23rd. The cost of the trip is approximately $500 per student. Moving on to High School North, the same field trip, the Model Congress to Washington, D.C., excuse me, for the same dates and approximately the same cost of $500. And then for High School North, Model Congress to Yale University from December 4th through the 7th of this year. Cost of the trip is approximately $460 per student. And our next Curriculum Committee meeting will be Thursday, October 16th.
Thanks, Loy. Any questions or comments for curriculum? Okay, so I will ask Louisa next to provide us a report on finance.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on September 9th. First, the committee reviewed the monthly financial reports. The administration certified that no line item is expended, and there are sufficient funds to complete the year. There are motions to approve the following on tonight's agenda: the disposal of obsolete equipment, an addendum to a bus contract for an aid to support the route as per the provisions in the original contract, to award additional quoted bus routes for displaced students and an additional to from school route, to approve a correction to a contract's number due to a clerical error, to approve travel and related expenses for employee professional development. Staff then reviewed the opening of school, reporting that the start of the school year went very well. Getting students to and from the school went smoothly, considering the situation. One route was overcrowded, so an additional bus has been contracted. Next, the committee discussed the 24-25 audit. The audit is progressing with completion of the on-site work. Work will continue with documents being shared electronically if needed. The auditor has commented that the audit is going very well. Next, staff updated the committee on the Energy Savings Improvement Program and the summer construction. Work is progressing nicely this summer. For Hawk, the air conditioning system, the new air conditioning system, was running for the first day of school. In approximately 8 weeks, the entire old HVAC system was removed and a new air conditioning system was installed. Work on the heater portion of the HVAC will continue into the fall after school hours. Over 30 rooms in the original section of the building received new unit ventilators and built-in shelving. All of the HVAC units in the modular portion of the building were replaced and are cooling the building as well. For Village, work has begun on connecting the new boilers. For Grover, replacement work is scheduled to start next week on the rooftop units, and the units are working currently. The parking lot carport solar array designs are being reviewed by Plainsboro officials. They are scrutinizing the plans very, very closely. In transportation, we discussed there were a few items on the agenda for approval that were already previously mentioned. For food service, the opening of the school year has gone smoothly. We have seen an increase of 7% in sales year over year. This is a good sign. Menus now offer more Asian and vegan options. The menu is considered halal-friendly, with most items being certified halal. Two-tiered pricing is back at the secondary schools. Last year, due to staffing shortages, this was not an option. SFE, our food service vendor, was able to add 6 new employees and 1 returned from a leave of absence. Sodexo, our prior vendor, made the final payment owed to the district from the 23-24 school year in the amount of $69,858 in July. The district plans to make the switch to smart vending machines with healthy smart snack food and drink choices. These machines are much easier to control than the older machines, which should allow for better product availability. The district plans to enter into a food donation agreement with Share My Meals, Inc. for excess food that has been prepared but not served. These meals will be placed in the vendor-supplied reusable containers, bar-coded and stored at the proper temperature for pickup by Share My Meals. They will distribute the food items to local support agencies within 2 days. There are protocols in place for food safety and tracking. Share My Meals works with more than 60-plus meal donors and more than 25-plus nonprofit organizations across New Jersey. The installation of the new walk-in refrigerators and freezers at Millstone and Town Center elementary schools is complete. The staff also reported about lunch balances. The money owed to the district by parents for unpaid lunches served has skyrocketed in the last 2 years. The outstanding unpaid balance for the beginning of the school year is $105,000, in spite of tremendous efforts by staff to enroll students who qualify for free, reduced, and New Jersey income-eligible meals into the free meals program. The data is being reviewed for demographic information to better create an outreach program to provide services and to notify parents of the outstanding balances. In other business, the district was notified that it has received the Certificate of Excellence for Financial Reporting from the Association of School Business Officials International. Yay! We know how much work that represents. The committee will next meet on Tuesday, October 13th.
Thanks, Louisa. Any questions or comments from the board for finance? Okay, I just wanted to say I'm really excited about the Share My Meals program, so kudos. Then that brings us to the voting portion of our meeting. So can I get a motion for administration items numbers 1 through 8, plus the purple addendum? Dana and Liz, any questions or comments?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Ms. Cheniera.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Maliga.
Yes.
Mr. Excuse me. Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Shah.
Yes.
Ms. Shetty.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Can I get a motion for curriculum and instruction items numbers 1 through 6? Loy and Pooja. Questions or comments?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Maliga.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. Shetty.
Yes.
Ms. Cheniera.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Shah.
Yes.
Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Can I get a motion for finance items numbers 1 through 9, plus the blue addendum? Louisa and Paul, any questions or comments?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Shah.
Yes.
Ms. Cheniera.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Ms. Maliga.
Yes.
Ms. Shetty.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Can I get a motion for personnel items numbers 1 through 3, plus the green addendum, which has a verbal correction on page 2 of 5, for Anindita Mukherjee, for the effective date change from 9/1 as it's listed to 9/17/25. Shweta and Janta. Any questions or comments?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Shetty.
Yes.
Ms. Shah.
Yes.
Ms. Cheniera.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Ms. Maliga.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Before we move on, I would like to acknowledge a retirement that we just approved. Eileen Chunko, our physical therapist for the district, is retiring after 26 and a half years of service. So we want to wish her well, all the best in your future chapter, And thank you so much for your dedication to the district. Next, a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes from the August 26th meeting. Liz and Loy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
I abstain.
I abstain as well.
Any board liaison reports? Dana.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As the Board of Education liaison to the New Jersey School Board Association and the president of the Mercer County School Boards Association, I want to remind my board colleagues that this Thursday, the day after tomorrow, at 6 p.m., the Mercer County School Boards Association will have its first meeting of the school year. The presentation is on artificial intelligence and how school districts are navigating its use. WWP's Director of Technology, Peter James, will be one of the panel presenters. We are hoping for a lively, interactive discussion, and so please consider joining me in person at Lawrence High, or you can come virtually. So thank you.
Thanks, Dana. Any other liaison reports? Nope. Okay, any new business? Doesn't look like it. So this takes us to our second opportunity for public comments. The board invites comments from members of our community who are present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. This public comment period shall be limited to 15 minutes. Any public comments for this second opportunity? Seeing none, I'll move to close this opportunity for public comments and ask for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting. Ajanta and Loy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much and have a good night.